Welcome back, everyone. Here are 5 scary stories from Reddit. Story 1, The Vanishing Man. I was walking home from a friend's house about 2 miles away. It was 2 a.m. and I had no jacket or flashlight. As I walked, I passed under a streetlight and I saw a man standing directly underneath it. I could see his silhouette clearly. He was tall and skinny, and he was staring straight at me. I couldn't see his face because it was in shadow, but I could see that he was watching me intently. I slowed down and quickened my pace. I wanted to get past him, but he didn't move. I stopped and I asked him, "Can I help you?" I was completely alone on the street and I felt uneasy. Still no response. I decided to walk past him. The moment I started to step around him, I blinked and he was suddenly only 10 feet in front of me. I froze and my heart started pounding. He hadn't taken a step toward me, but I could feel his eyes burning into my skull. I blinked again and he vanished. I sprinted the rest of the way home. And when I opened the door to my apartment building, I noticed muddy boot prints on the carpet leading up to my front door. They weren't my boots. They were large and sloppy and didn't match any footprints outside. When I got home shaking, I told my boyfriend about the man. He went with me to check out the prints, and we both agreed it was strange. We have a small dog, and he walks with us almost every night, but he doesn't go in the mornings, and there were no prints there then. We live in a very small town, and I've never seen this man before or since. I've been back down that street in the daytime, and nothing seems out of place. But sometimes when I wake up in the middle of the night, I can swear that I hear muddy footsteps outside my bedroom door. Story 2, The Radio. I was driving home alone from work at around 2 a.m. I have a long drive and I often take this route. The windows were closed and the radio was turned off. All of a sudden, the radio turned itself on and started making static noises. Then I heard my name being whispered through the radio. I immediately pulled over to the side of the road. I was shaking and scared. I turned the radio off and continued driving. A few minutes later, the same thing happened. The radio turned itself on, and this time a voice said, "Get out of your car." I ignored it and sped away. About 15 minutes after that, the same voice said, "I'm in the back seat." I didn't dare look back. I just floored it and drove as fast as I could until I got home. When I finally got home and got out of the car, I noticed that the seatbelt in the back was buckled. Story 3, The Empty Call. My phone rang at exactly 3:03 a.m. I was awoken from a dead sleep by it. When I answered the phone, all I could hear was heavy breathing on the other end. Then I heard my own voice whispering, "Don't go to the window." I was confused, but I sat up in bed and went over to the window. I stared out into the darkness, but there was nothing out there. Suddenly, I saw something dark racing across the lawn outside my window. Then I felt something brush against my leg. I screamed and fell backward onto my bed. When I turned on the light, I noticed a small blind hanging off its hook. I pushed the blind closed and tried to go back to sleep, but every night at 3:03 a.m., my phone rings and I hear my own voice telling me not to go to the window. And every night when I go to check, the reflection in the glass is never moving when I do. Story 4, The Hospital Elevator. I worked night shift at a hospital as a nursing assistant. One night I was getting off on the 3rd floor and the elevator went to the 4th floor. That wasn't unusual. However, when I stepped out of the elevator, it was full of patients who were pale, silent, and staring. I didn't think anything of it. I pressed the button to go back down. As the doors opened, the patients stepped out and they were all lying in their beds like mummies. I panicked and backed out of the elevator. The doors closed. I hit the alarm button and waited. When the doors opened, I was back on my floor. I looked down and realized my shoes were soaking wet. It was then that I noticed the blood. Story 5, The Photograph. I was reading a book in my favorite spot at the local library. I love sitting by the big bay windows and reading old books. I was reading an old copy of Dracula when I found a Polaroid camera tucked inside. I took it out and took a photo just for fun. When the photo developed, I saw that it was a picture of me asleep in my own bed. I don't sleepwalk, and I had never taken a picture like this before. I finished my book and headed home. When I got home, I looked at the photo and realized that it must have been taken recently. I looked at my bed and noticed another Polaroid camera. I took that one out and developed it. It was a picture of me standing in the doorway, taking the first photo. I don't sleep in that room anymore, but sometimes when I'm visiting my parents' house, I'll find another photo waiting for me. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these scary stories from Reddit, please stay tuned for more. We have a channel where we share all kinds of scary content. You can also watch our videos on another channel. There are links to both in the description below. And I'll see you next time.